All right, well, 50%. That's not a terrible number. That's how much of the stuff I got to work for this stream. 50%. I'll be curious to see how long Physmatic's bat works. Oh, and you don't have your special avatar because that's tied to Twitch points, right? I don't know if there is an equivalent on YouTube to tie that sort of thing to, where you can upgrade your avatars and such. Think you'll sign it? Hi, Mark D. Maker. Welcome, welcome. Fizz, you mean like I have to assign it per individual user somehow? Oh, you know what would be cool would be if the longer you were in a stream, the more your avatar could evolve into something cooler and cooler. Surely someone has thought of that. That must be a feature. I can't be the first person to think that idea. But that'd be a nice automated way to do it, you know. Jonathan L. Banks, hello, welcome. Hope you're having a good morning or evening. Possibly afternoon? I'm not sure where you would be where there would be an afternoon happening right now. Okay. Midnight. All right. East Coasty. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is lube these bad boys up. And we are going to be generous with the lube. This is Hydrocal, basically fancy plaster, that I poured over a some of this XPS foam that I carved the general rock shapes in. And that's kind of my stage one of creating these rocks. And then I'm going to be pressing this epoxy clay material into these molds to create more of these guys, which I'll be carving on a little bit later. And since I'm casting a hard material into another hard material, I got to be really extra with the petroleum jelly here. I'm not worried about capturing all of the detail 100%. Mostly just wanting to make sure I get the secondary forms represented. Good old foam, indeed, yeah. So I feel like I've taken foam, I wouldn't say as far as possible, but I've taken it pretty far as it comes to, like, you know, recreating super realistic rocks. But after a certain point, like, the amount of detail they can hold is just not as much as, you know, once you get it into an epoxy clay that you can get in and, like, chisel and carve in a super detailed way. Rocks are easier to draw? You know, I get frustrated when I try to draw rocks. I wouldn't say I'm terrible at it, but I can't get it to look like what's in my head, right? Some of my rocks that I've drawn I have in here, like today. Well, here's an example of, like, icon rocks for maps. Those are very stylized. But there's my lighthouse. I have a lighthouse. Oh yeah, and there's, like, a cliff. Like, it's really hard for me to, I don't know, make it look natural. It just seems too unnatural. Because with drawing, I can't do the thing that I can do in 3D. Yeah, there's some more rocks that I did. Which is get that almost like free, happy accidents that happen when you chip and flake and tear. Yeah, like, when you're painting, you can kind of get that effect. You know, Bob Ross famously does that a lot. You know, just have his palette knife and just, like, scrape it across the canvas, and you end up with kind of happy accidents that are, you know, rock-ish enough. They look enough like the side of a mountain. But yeah, I'm striving for, like, as realistic as I can possibly get it. Yeah, it does kind of seem like a quarry. I think the reference I was looking at a particular, like, cliff on a beach that looked a lot like that, and so I probably should have used reference, you know, maybe more like this, because, yeah, anyway. Sometimes the reference you use is super useful, and sometimes it can lead you astray. But I'm still convinced that, personally, I always do a better job when I have any reference as opposed to no reference. And I'm just kind of going off of my memory, my idea of what I think it is like. It turns out very cartoony. Hiya, Jean Renkin. How are you? Welcome. Do I have terrain paste? I'm not sure. What is terrain paste? If I do have it, I do not know it by that name. Well, one thing I found in the art and hobby and craft world is that quite often things go by different names in different regions, and even just different little social groups. Oh, and different sort of what is the word I'm looking for? Like subgenres. So like dollhouse makers or dollhouse enthusiasts have a lot of overlap as far as like materials and techniques and tools as, you know, model train hobbyists or World War II dioramists or war gamers, right? But there's not like a ton of cross-pollination in those worlds. So if you're not like actively following a bunch of different ones of these, there's another fairly newish one where it's like essentially dioramas or set pieces for action figures. That's kind of also in that same world. So yeah, I'm sometimes surprised at what people call different materials and processes and things. Your name on my YouTube changed. This is Linda from years ago. Okay, yes. How's it going, Linda? Linda from the years. The razor, razor, a razor of quails, and tripods. One more slathering to go. 2 slatherings down, 1 to go. These rocks, I'm kind of doing an R&D phase to try to figure out how to make a product that I think would be really cool and successful. Essentially, you know, I've done video game textures for a quarter of a century plus. And I love the idea of being able to just texture the real world, you know, for dioramas, war games, that kind of thing. So I wanted to make a set of textures that you could just buy and glue on whatever. So you could make a stack of cardboard boxes and pop cans or whatever, and you know, here's an old piece of garbage, and I wrap this around it, just hot glue around it, and now I've got a cool castle, right? That's the basic idea. I'm trying to explore all the different expressions of that I can, so like wargaming tiles, and then these particular rocks are for just, making cliffs or stacks of rocks or whatever. Yeah, for people who already are like crafty and, know how to pour molds and have all those tools and materials and processes and knowledge, it might kind of be a time saver. It might be, a fun thing, but it's mostly intended more for the casual market that is interested, in doing creative stuff, but they just don't have the skill set or tools or knowledge or whatever, right? So they can just buy these super realistic, super cool textures and plaster them on stuff. That's my hope. Water putty over insulation foam. Many thin washes of acrylic. Yeah, so I've done, I use water putty to make, like, I'm making this just set of, square tiles too, right? Water putty is great to cast and then break it into pieces and then glue it back down to get that nice broken tile look. Have you ever read the directions on water putty? I read them for the first time a couple months ago and was absolutely gobsmacked that one of the things they said or recommended on there was that you could mix in milk to inhibit cure time, or increase cure time. And I can't imagine putting something that can spoil into into plaster, essentially, that's going to be, a permanent part of a house or something. It just seems like such a bad idea. Oh, actually, that reminds me. I'm curious. Yeah, what would it smell? I mean, I honestly don't know. Like, how could they recommend it if it would, like, actually? But I don't know, because it's an organic compound, like animal byproduct. Anyway, Mark D. Maker, curious. Could you do me a favor? Do us both a favor. Can you try to post a link to one of your videos that has that, if you have any videos that have that particular technique? Because A, I would like to see, can people post video links on this live stream? And B, I would just like to see an example of what you're talking about. Did milk paint smell too? Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Is like they've always used organic compounds for paints. As long as paints have been a thing. Egg as a base for a lot of oil paints in many of the most famous classical paintings. I'm sure milk was also a common thing, and various oils like olive oil and almond oil, etc. I'm just, I'm so used to a very synthetic world that the idea of incorporating organics as non-food products terrifies me. Terrify is a strong word. I'm being hyperbolic. I think that's enough to get the job done. So two things may happen if you post a link, Mark. One is you may see the link and no one else does because it's been suppressed. I guess three things. Another thing is you may post it and it, tells you you've been naughty and don't do that, and it just won't show up. Or three, it may just work. I'm sure there's a setting somewhere on the back end, and the default is probably to not let, just anyone share links, but all right, we're doing epoxy clay now. Not epoxy clay, freeform air. That was close. You think most paints smell awful to begin with? I don't know if awful is a word I would use to describe most paint smells. Most of them are not pleasant. Let's see, so I'm gonna do maybe a third or a half of what I think I'm gonna need. I'm gonna need that much. K in EED. Yeah, it'd be cool if there was a thing like on Twitch where a mod could give you like a temporary approval granted. Is that, Fizz, if you click on Mark's name, do you see anything about permissions? All you can do is put in timeout. Oh, okay. One thing I did not do on the last one is actually spend any amount of time trying to like carefully squash these down. Let's see if that makes any kind of a difference. Yeah, Alex. Well, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I've been streaming on Twitch the past 4 years, exclusively over there, and never really picked up too much traction, so I figure I might as well see if streaming on YouTube is any better for me. So if you like it, give me a thumbs up. What kind of stuff do you sculpt, Alex? Also, if you're looking for a fun place to share your work, I got a Discord. Lots of other sculptors and artists of various types. We have a good time. I was just wondering if we're gonna have to set up a YouTube bot. Pokemon for your wife? Oh, okay. Alduin. I'm trying to remember who Alduin from Skyrim is. You know, like most people in my demographic, I've played through Skyrim several times. but it's probably been, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years since I did last, so I don't remember who that is. Oh, it's the main antagonist dragon. Okay. You'd think as someone who is a fantasy author like myself, I would care and be more and remember the stories of games more, but the stories in games very rarely compel me. It's rare that I remember any game character's name. Don't tell any of my game writer friends that. That's it. That's my dirty secret. Geometric wood wall art. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'd love to see that. If you can post some of that on my Discord, that'd be super cool. I always get really inspired by wood stuff, and then every time I think, oh man, I want to try to make something like that, I remember all the like tools and techniques I would have to acquire that I'm already doing too many things. I can't add that to it. Okay, it's good to know. A ball that big is almost enough for one of these pieces. So let's do a ball slightly bigger than that so we can finish this off, and maybe that side too. I may have to dig into my giant bucket to finish this off. I'm pretty sure I still have another giant bucket of this stuff. Sure hope so. I get too invested in the stuff I make to trade or even sell it. Like everything I make, it's just for me. It's all me. It's all mine. I'm a selfish artist. But yeah, when I think of like the number of kinds of art that I do, just to do the stuff that I'm trying to, so like trying to make a graphic novel, I'm trying to make illustrated novels that require fantasy maps, trying to do this like realistic texture product that can go along with it, the book series. I'm trying to build dioramas for a traveling exhibition. I also want to build an animatronic Scola for the same purpose. Not to mention all the writing, and like writing is obviously a massive art form in and of itself that people dedicate their entire lives to. And so I'm trying to learn like so many things and so many different sides of art that it gets overwhelming. You have 3 expensive toddlers? Yeah, oof. 3 toddlers at a time. That's a lot of toddle right there. I don't know if I can handle that much toddle. My boys were 3 years apart, so that seemed to be a pretty good spread. Like, they weren't so far apart that they couldn't, play together often, but they also weren't, toddlers at the same time. You went to school for music? Yeah, there's another big, giant world of art there. Yeah, I've played around with music, but never seriously. Like, I've recorded little ditties when I come up with them. And that's, and I was also a vocalist in a heavy metal band in high school. But that was mostly just because I really wanted to make an album cover. Get this a little closer to the same color. Made all your album covers too? Yep. Now, our metal band, the metal band that I started, was very eclectic and also injected some ska and punk into the metal band. So just as like little flourishes here and there in a few songs. It was the early to mid 90s at the time, so that was all pretty cutting edge. Wow. Usually I go overboard with the pigment. Having the opposite problem tonight. Mad Migrainier. You want some ASMR? There you go. Alex, if you want to hear it, it's on my channel. It's on this channel right here. Just gotta look up Dead Pharisees. Good luck figuring out how to spell Pharisees. Hint, it's with a PH. Alright, that's close enough. Fair warning, we're talking about a very indie band that recorded this album in a log cabin in North Pole, Alaska. So don't go in looking for production values, man. But, you know, I feel like what we lacked in production value, we made up for in creativity and sheer spunk. Sadly, that was the most professional place we could find, and the engineer who recorded and mixed it and everything, he had never done anything hard. Like, it was all, you know, Alaska stuff. Folk and country was his was his forte. So he was definitely in over his head when it came to figuring out how best to mic and mix a metal band. One of the things I am trying to pay special attention to is having a nice, even border, because these are going to be two pieces that are sandwiched together. Although I guess anywhere they're uneven, when I sandwich them, I'll probably put like a ring of clay around it, so maybe I don't need to really sweat details at this stage. Just leave it there and see what happens. You'll see what happens technique. I ended up mixing this one quite a bit more than the other, and it's quite a bit fluffier and doughier as a result. I don't know if it's going to have any effect on the final, you know, the properties of the final piece, but it's interesting to note. If one of them maybe carves a little easier or is more fragile or something, try to remember that. Really? This is what you're gonna curse me with? When my gloves are like this and I can't touch my mouse? I'm gonna be trapped with one of the worst songs on Pretzel. Hold on. I'm gonna try to deftly maneuver my mouse with the back of my hand. Okay, get to the thumbs down button. Okay, thumbs down. Whew! Saved. Now I gotta figure out if I can get back to the stream. Oh, that's not it. Where's the stream? Okay. Whew. So Alex, do you teach percussion as like a side gig, or you work at a school? Okay. Do I mix the rest of this, or do I go and get another? Because that's definitely not going to be enough. All right. So it turns out I needed to discard these gloves anyway, which always makes me feel bad. I try my best to use as limited a number of gloves as possible, but digging around to find the other containers with those mucky gloves, that's not good. One moment. That got my elbow real good. Okay, so we do have more freeform air. Thank goodness. So you're all about the wood and the drums, huh? That's cool. It can actually survive on that, especially with 3 toddlers. Is it upsetting that 99% of people's perceptions of drum teachers are from the movie, what was that one, came out about 5 years ago? Suddenly I can't remember what it's called. You know, it's a really mean drum instructor. Alright, it's just gonna be difficult. Whiplash, that's what it's called. Or do you just lean into it and try to be like Mr. Whiplash, the teacher? J. Jonah's Whiplash, Esquire, drum teacher. Faster! Could I be a drum teacher if all I do is just shout faster at them? Your drumline instructor was kind of like that? Oh. Yeah, I prefer that other way of teaching as well. Now, if only If someone could teach me how to open a bucket, I'd be much obliged. What the heck? This thing is like welded on. Okay. Whew. Okay, so first things first, let's get all of this out of there. 90% is yelling faster. One of the big influences of my band was a band called Vengeance Rising, and they have like a hidden track. I think it was a hidden track on one of their albums where it was the vocalist slash guitarist yelling at the drummer to go faster and faster and faster, and he just keeps speeding up and speeding up and speeding up. Play it fast, Chris. Play it faster. Faster. I'm not paying you $3.39 an hour for nothing. Play it faster. Play those triplets. That's the lyrics to the song. Probably haven't listened to that song in like 25 years, but I remember. Oh, I remember. Go back to school for opening buckets. Yeah, that might do me some good. Actually, I guess the better thing to do is to get all of this older stuff out. Oh, is that the better thing to do? Because of that to fill in that, maybe... But I don't want to mix the fresher stuff and the less fresher stuff. How do I handle this? I guess I could not refill the white half until the next stage. Let's try that. So I'll do one bulb this size. Enough from the fresh stuff. Approximately the same. No, it is true. I do not sell anything. Well, I guess that's not technically true. I have done a few commissions for bands. Like I've done some album covers. I did one for the band Carcass, and 2 for the band Demon Hunter, 1 for a band called Ovid's Withering. But yeah, I like the amount of time it takes me to make stuff in order to sell something at, to make more than minimum wage at it. It would just be so ridiculous. No one would buy it. It doesn't. So I just don't bother. And my day job pays me well enough where I don't, because this is just a side gig. I'm not desperate enough to make it happen right now. And then also making stuff to sell would be a real distraction from my main life goal, which is to create a new franchise, like a new intellectual property, so like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. And so I'm trying to put all my energies in some way or another towards that. Even making these texture rocks is intended to do that, because I want to sell these, molds of these or casts of these as a product that comes along with you know, little slip of paper that talks about the part of Talifar that these textures are from, and maybe has a little story snippet and art from the books or something to try to hook people into my world. It's true, we do have an Etsy. Uh, I guess I was thinking of like original stuff, as in like a one of a kind. Sorry, all the stuff we have on Etsy is indeed original. However, it is casts of stuff. You should post a link, Fizz. Someone might be interested. Fizz here is my creative partner and helps me produce this stuff. A 2 foot tall sculpture of. You said that's a dragon, one of the Skyrim dragons. Oh my god. I mean, dragons are probably like worst case scenario because of the detail, the scales all over them. Oh my god. Like if I was gonna build them from scratch, like sculpt in the real world with real clay, that would be like, I don't know, many thousands of dollars. Maybe a little bit less if I did it digital and then 3D printed, because there's so many like shortcuts you can take to making all those scales and stuff in 3D and on the computer. Yeah, like I have a giant Colossus statue. People were talking, it kind of went viral on TikTok, and so many comments were about, you know, how much to sell it. And I was just trying to think of like the time it took me, and I was like, dude, it'd have to be like, I don't know, $50,000 or something. It's just something absolutely bonkers. But similar to a dragon, a Colossus has detail, all, like not just detail, but architectural Gothic cathedral detail. You know, that I hand sculpted all of it. I'd say that's even harder than a dragon, actually, because with scales you can get away with, you've got some wiggle room, but with architecture, where you have to have a bunch of like clean repeating lines and arches and interwoven bits, it's just like, yeah, that was bonkers. Yeah, speaking of another Skola bust, keep being reminded, I started to figure out how to make a Skola action figure that we could produce with like ball jointed parts. And it kept running into issues of like trying to figure out where I would want the joints to go for, maximum articulation. And it's really hard because, he barely has a neck, but he's supposed to be really flexible. Like his ears should be floppy and his head can like extend almost turtle-like from his body. And he's got all this like flowy, like wizard robe skin. So yeah, I kept running into conundrums, I will say, that I think made me give up and want to come back to it later. But man, having an action figure pair of Beaumark and Skola would be so freaking cool. Tried to chop him up again a little while ago. Couldn't do it because he's hollow. The original I sent you. Wait, did I send you the original 3D print? Oh, the STL is hollowed out. There's got to be a one-button solution to that. Like I know in ZBrush you can just, if there's no holes going to the inside, you could just do a remesh over the whole thing. I think I did that actually when I started the thing I was just talking about that I gave up on. Temporarily gave up. Just a matter of priorities. Always priorities. I feel like eventually you'll be experienced enough where you'll be able to take any of my sculptures and turn them into action figures. I know they've got like ball joint, well, every kind of joint imaginable, like just what are they called in ZBrush? Basically brush packs where you just like draw them on and they just pop into place. It's really cool. But you're gonna have to figure out ZBrush at some point. Interesting, these took less clay than I thought they would. That's good because I've got some places to put it on these other pieces. Does YouTube Live have the equivalent of Twitch raids? Are you able to raid to another YouTube streamer? I don't know if I've ever seen that before. But I also don't watch a lot of streams on YouTube, so... Okay. So here's another piece that I forgot that I had started earlier. I figure I could conform into the same standard as this, which is essentially 1 inch thick. And it's already got a nice middle around it, so I just need to make sure that whatever I add, it's adding approximately 1/2 inch on each side. So there was this, and then there was also, which one of these guys? Not that one. This one? That's all right. Oh, it's this one, yeah. A little too wobbly, needs a big old chunk on this side. Where do you suppose I hid my sculpting tool from myself? Gotta be buried under here somewhere. There it be. Yeah, those Demon Hunter. Yeah, I need to do basically a sanity printing pass on them to make them even possible to print in the first place, and then beyond that, possible to mold and cast. I have that on my backlog list, and I keep thinking, man, where do I put that? It's definitely post book 3. But like post book 3, I also have like the audiobook, like the advertising push, prepping the next book in the series, because we want to start doing at least a book a year after that. There's no reason not to do that. I just have to like not I have to drastically limit my illustrations in them. You know, just say like, okay, you have a limit of 3. You get 3 pictures for this book. That's it, buddy. And then find some way to hold myself to that. Just say, you know what? There's going to be a super special illustrated edition at some point in the future. Don't have to be 100% on everything right now. Track reminds me of one from Civilization 3 or 4. Back when they knew how to make good Civilization games. Yeah, the audiobook is going to blow open so many more opportunities. It's just the number of audiobook listeners compared to readers is huge. There's a lot of people in the indie author space that are doing AI voices for their readers, which not quite there. I don't think the quality is there. Like, even though I don't have a great reading voice, I know that I can at least get across the idea. You know, I can put the emphasis on the right syllable and pronounce, you know, the names and places and stuff correctly. So I pretty much convinced myself I'm going to give it a go and try to do my own reading, just as like a first, you know, special edition sneak peek read by the non-professional reader author. Let's see how that goes. Have I finished the Shadow of Colossus diorama? I have, in fact. I've been editing the final video of it these past several weeks. I did the beauty shot, video and photo shoot. I have a friend who has like experience shooting film and for movies, and he does special effects for Hollywood movies, so he was able to help me figure some stuff out, and I think we got some pretty cool looking footage. So on this side, we've already got some pretty good starts at getting to our ½ inch away from center line. I just need to bulk up a few spots. Just a few. Yeah, I can't wait to see it either. I can't wait to be just like done with that project, since you know, I started that Colossus in 2012, I believe. So it'll be really darn nice to just be done. Moving on. Yeah, this is Freeform Air is the clay that I'm using. It's not oil-based, it's like an epoxy clay. I have a video about sculpting with epoxy clay back a couple years. And so I've been going through this process where I make the original rock shape out of this XPS foam, right? Just insulation foam. I made a mold out of that. So I've got this just plaster mold, right? And then I press the clay into that and then pop it out. And now I have these with a, basically it allows me to take the detail level to insane extremes. Insane. But freeform air is really nice because it's super lightweight and it's kind of fluffy, so it allows you to carve it really easily after it's set. And as you like tear and flake and crack pieces off, it fractures in really like nice rocky shapes. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Shapes, rocky shapes. Okay, so now I've got everything I need on this one. Now, what can I do with this? I can put it, I guess just on, ooh, I know, I can put it on tape. Now what do I do with this stuff? That's the next question. I can make a, I can cast it into a shape. What shapes do I have? I have these molds over here. Let's just see what we end up with. Oh, and I forgot. Yes, this is just water. Getting to this just in the nick of time. It's starting to get difficult to work with. The bigger the batch you mix up, the faster it sets. It's one thing I've noticed. Even when you flatten it out afterwards, you know, because it does its endothermic thing where the more volume there is together, the more it like heats up fast. That's, you know, common with all epoxies. But I would think that if you know, flatten it out or roll it into smaller pieces after that original mix, it would slow down, but I guess that's not how it works. Once it starts getting endothermic, it keeps going endothermic. You know what I should do? A little experiment here. Let's just sprinkle on a little spice. See what that ends up looking like. After all, the spice extends life. It makes space travel possible. Hey, Reedy. Yeah, well, you know, I had more stuff to do, so might as well live stream it. Wouldn't be surprised if I was back again tomorrow. All right, we'll see how that goes. And was there any other final carving I wanted to do on these boys? There always is. I always look at it later and I'm like, how did I miss that? So yeah, let's look at how fun this is to carve, because it's super fun. You're gonna call the 1-800 mod abuse line, Fizz? You gonna snitch on me? Yeah, so you can see just kind of like digging a little corner in there. Dig it and wiggle it, and then just kind of pry it out, and you get some nice little rocky, fracture-y texture. It's great. That reminds me, I need to 3D print, let's see, the reverse of this. So I 3D printed this to make sure it was like exactly the right sizes, because each of these edges has to be exactly the same so they can match together in every angle. However, because I have the part that's supposed to match is like halfway between the top and the bottom right there, there's no way to really like perfectly eyeball it just from using that flat thing. So basically I need to make a walled version of this that I could socket these into to make sure that they fit exactly. The cure time on this is usually about an hour. But yeah, if you mix a big blob of it together at once, it's going to be less. Alien clay, what is that? Need to take some photos. All right, have fun photographing. Oh, interesting. I've got a little blobby area there that needs to be filled in. Don't really want to steal from there. Yeah. Well, let's see. Let's see. Can I just take... scrape a little bit off of this one. Is it already hardened? Reference out here. So this is wonderful reference for this kind of a rock shape because I've got all these directional lines where the pieces are going to meet together, right? And I want to essentially like hide the fact that there's all these straight lines. And so in real rock like this, there are straight-ish lines, but they eventually start to like wander off in different directions. So that's what I'm trying to do here is like sort of disguise where the straight ones are with other mostly straight ones going, you know, kind of jutting off in all sorts of different directions, with the hope that it tricks your eye into thinking that they're all kind of organic, cracky shapes. Something similar to monster clay, a little cheaper, comes in a pouring saucer when warmed in, I assume you mean water. That's cool. Yeah, a friend of mine was trying to turn me on to monster clay years ago. My friend Pete, he's been, I don't remember if he was involved in the development of it or like he was probably a beta tester because he's pretty famous in the special effects space. You know, he did a bunch of like original creature design. Like he pretty much designed Dragonheart. He designed a bunch of the bugs, the aliens from Starship Troopers. What else? All sorts. Oh, one of my favorite in recent times from the movie Nope. He did the jean jacket UFO monster, which still makes me angry that if you look it up on Amazon, like it'll start playing a preview and like within a second and a half it shows like the final reveal of the big like creature, and I'm like, nah, that was such an epic moment when it finally happens in the movie. It's just so awful that they wreck that moment. Darn you, Amazon. Yeah, it sounds like it's kind of solving a pain point with the monster clay, right? Having to get like all these other apparatuses involved just to get it workable. I think that's the thing that turned me off the most. You know, I'm so used to polymer clay where you can just have it, you know, sit in a box, you pull out a lump and start working with it. It's just, and then on top of it you could bake it, and then it's solid. It's a solid final piece. With monster clay, you can kind of do that. You can kind of get away with like clear coating it and painting it and whatever, but better hope that it's never like in a hot trailer, or put in a window where there's direct sunlight on it. All right, Linda, you have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. Friend's dad is co-founder of ZBrush. Down the base of this. That's awesome. I love ZBrush. Such a wonky program, but I love it. Managed to become pretty much the de facto sculpting tool for all like big budget entertainment around the world for like almost 20 years now. Jeez, when I think I started using it in 2007, maybe 2006. Yeah, I think 2007 is actually okay. That's when I bought a license for it, and never paid to upgrade it until obviously until recently, which is kind of ridiculous, kind of unprecedented in the history of software. You lost your sculpt of Grow Mash that way? Aww. That really stinks. I don't know who Grow Mash is, though. Who's Grow Mash? The actual suit they used in the gypsy mech from the movie? He put on the actual suit. Okay. An orc from Warcraft. Okay. Ouch. That'll teach you not to mold and cast everything you make. I have this, like, I'm very nervous that, though I like the way it looks here, like once I actually start using it in dioramas and figure bases and stuff, something about it is going to jump out and be like, oh, you should have done this other thing this other way. It's foolish to be making a bunch of these for the test, but on the other hand, like, if you don't have the multiple ones to really test how they tile and that kind of stuff, it's not really a full test. So it's just a risky amount of time I'm putting into these. Shepherds, 12 baths, holy cow, holy mess. That sounds like lyrics from a Cannibal Corpse song or something. "12 shepherds, 12 baths." You like it old school, eh? I feel like they're one of those bands that's probably still around and kicking it in their 50s, aren't they? I don't know if I've looked for any newer stuff since like the 90s. Came to Iowa a few years back. Oh, nice. Woolies. What's a Wooly? 6 Feet Under is a TV show and a hardcore band and a thrash metal band and oh no wait 6 Feet Deep. Sorry, 6 Feet Deep is the hardcore band. 6 Feet Under is I think a thrash band. But I'm guessing from context that you're saying 6 Feet Under is also an album, a more recent album from Cannibal Corpse. Oh no, I want that piece. Don't go away, piece. So I'm trying to make sure that from top to bottom, it's about an inch, and about halfway down is where it needs to be the flat, perfect line. But then I'm trying to disrupt the silhouette, kind of like a heartbeat, as much as possible, you know, sort of on the z-axis to hide how flat and straight that line is. An old ballroom converted to a concert hall. Oh, cool. Used to sing for a hardcore band back in the day. Yeah, I was just talking about how I was a vocalist in a metal band that I started right after high school, mostly because I wanted to make an album cover for for a heavy metal band. I never really got the I never figured out how to do the metal vocals right, you know, where it like wouldn't blow out my vocals and lose my voice for a day after every practice. You played lead guitar, I assume you mean? If you guys like the band Carcass, you should check out their, was it an EP? I did a cover for them, the cover art for one of their recent albums, not the most recent one, but the one just before that. It was like I want to say like a 3 or 4 track album. I have the original sculpture right there. Let's see if we can see it. Right my f-stop is not gonna let you see it. Oh, you can barely make out the record right there. Smoke cigarettes and drink a lot of warm water. Huh, okay. Oh, man. Sleepy cam. Hold on. Let's see what we can do to fix this. That's what I get for messing with the camera, even in the slightest bit. Let's see. And then that's the album cover I did for Demon Hunter. I like to make actual sculptures for album covers. That's my thing. Sculpting kaijus to black metal. Yeah, that's a good combo. What's a good modern black metal band? All of the ones that I listen to are like from the 90s and early 2000s. I don't know what's good these days. Everything's like, there are very few like pure one genre metal bands these days. It seems like everyone uses a full range of vocals, from death to grind to black to hardcore to clean. Like, what was I just listening to recently? Oh, Lorna Shore. They got a song that is just so killer that, yeah, goes the full gamut. Orcs and demons and shepherds. Okay, this is like the third time you mentioned shepherds, and I like. Do you mean literally, like those who tend sheep? Do you mean commander shepherd? Like, what does this mean? German Shepherd. Right. Because of all the German Shepherds. Okay. Now I'm tracking. Took me a little while to put 2 and 2 together, but I got there eventually. Welcome back, Fizz. What is it about German Shepherds in particular that you find so great? Tell me about German Shepherds. I don't know much about them, except that they're typically used by border guards. Which means they must be really smart. They must be like good listeners, trainable. I'm guessing fairly high energy. Good at keeping your sheep in the pens, especially if you live in Germany. Um, who suffer and almost never stop playing through the whole album? I didn't see a name. Did you post a name up higher? When you were 7, you fell through ice. Your neighbor's shepherd pulled you out. Been hooked ever since. Oh, what a great origin story. Oh, that's really interesting. The dogs that can, yeah, smell medical conditions like Parkinson's and heart disease and blood sugar, yeah. Black metal was not a thing when I was in elementary school. I think the hardest thing that existed when I was in elementary school was like, what, Ozzy Osbourne or Alice Cooper. I'm old, fam. Yeah, black metal started, or, started being a thing that anyone knew about, more or less, in the, like, very late 80s, as far as I know. Early 90s. I can only imagine how concerned my parents would have been if they walked into 8-year-old Josh's room with black metal blaring on the boom box. You're playing with the mod tools? Okay. Are you learning anything interesting? Is that why I'm not seeing the name of the band that was being referenced? Is it does it have naughty words that you had to delete? Two options, hide and show. Well, I guess it's better than no options. Off cinephile, yeah. I was kind of in a similar boat, but for different reasons. I mean, because I was born in '75, right? So internet didn't come into my life until I was in college. Um, but I didn't have access to almost any popular music. Um, the closest that came was Weird Al. I was allowed to listen to Weird Al, and so all of my sort of interpretations of the 80s and late 70s is kind of through the lens of parody. Yeah, it wasn't until around, I guess it was around 13 when I started to discover music on my own and discovered how awesome heavy metal was, and it was my favorite. And then instantly tried to find the heaviest and hardest heavy metal that existed, which at the time was mostly like thrash. Death metal was just starting to become a thing. And then black metal was maybe a couple years after that. For me, my discoverability, not like as a fact of the world, of course. '73. All right, we old timers. What's it like being 50? I have plans for when I turn 50. There's a bunch of stuff that I have never done in life that just for philosophical reasons I feel like I want to do, just so I can have a broader range of human experience. But like I've never, I just never desired a lot of things that a lot of people tend to. So like I've never done any drugs, not even marijuana. So I want to try some of that. And I've never got a tattoo. The reason I never got a tattoo is because I knew from a young age that like my tastes were always evolving, and how annoying it would be for me to have like a piece of art on me forever that I don't like anymore. Um, yeah, very very peculiar personality quirk, but there it is. So yeah, I want to experience the dissolution of my ego and the self with some kind of pharmaceutical of some sort, whether that's like ayahuasca or I have to do more research. Something along those lines. Winter makes your bones ache. Yeah. 300 tats. Wow. Have you ever tried to add up how much all of those cost you over the years? I've got 2 very specific ones that I want, and possibly a third. But yeah, I don't have any plans on going like whole hog with it. I'm not gonna do like a full sleeve or anything like that. You got one and then realized they were expensive? They only told you the price, the cost afterwards? Yeah, since it's such a rare thing too, I'm probably going to go to a spendy artist. I'm gonna be really damn picky about it. I mean, because it's gonna be my own art for one. And I kind of wonder like how many tattoo artists are wary of doing tattoos of on artists who, you know, made their own designs. Because I imagine those are probably some of the worst clients you could have. Be like, the line thickness should be 0.2% heavier. What are you doing? $120. Yeah. You got your first one in 92 for 25. Nice. Yeah, exactly. I want to have an artist that I could have a consult with. Make sure that we're on the same page about everything. Yeah, I'm just a particularly cautious type of person generally in a lot of ways. Except when it comes to creating life goals and then working myself to death to achieve them. Paul Booth. I mean, I'm going to find someone local. I'm not going that overboard. I'm not going to travel for it, but there's plenty of really good artists in Seattle, I'm sure. All right, let's see. It's after 9. I've been going for over 2 hours. I think I should probably call it. We'll see. Might be back tomorrow. I forgot I paused an episode of Ted Lasso I was watching with Heather to come do this because I wanted to make sure I got it done tonight. And here I am just kind of putzing around instead of finishing Ted Lasso, for crying out loud. So I'm gonna go take care of that. And oh my God, you scared me, Kanye. I thought you were saying that you got a tattoo of Donnie Darko on your face. I was gonna be like, no, man, no, don't do that. But yeah, that's cool. Zombie type face of Donnie Darko. That's a fun one. Okay, I'll catch you all later. Thanks so much for hanging out. Have a good night and or day. Now I'm going to try to figure out how to end the stream. Here it is, big end stream button. All right, see you guys later.